Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jordan Peterson podcast. Today, I am joined by a couple of doctors who have had quite the, you could say, public sparring sessions over the course of the past year or so. They are Dr. Anthony Fauci and Dr.
Yo, before we get started, I wanted to make a few shout-outs. Okay, so first of all, shout out to my boy up in New York, Andy Cuomo. You know, he's been going through some shit. He recently got pinched with this media scandal with the old folks home, and then this whole sexual harassment scandal. And Andy, just want to say they ain't got shit on you. Hashtag free my boy Cuomo. Hashtag Fauci gang. Also, shout out to Mark Zuckerberg up in Facebook. You know, that guy's had my back over the last year. You know, Mark, I see you. I appreciate you. Real recognize real. And last but not least, shout out to the rock band Disturbed. When me and the Wuhan clan were cooking up this virus, we had Down with the Sickness on repeat for like 8 months straight. I mean, that shit was off the chain.
Well, okay, very well. As long as our shout-outs are out of the way. Our other guest today is Dr. Rand Paul.
Wait, I lied. One more shout-out. Shout-out to Scarlett Johansson out there pumping the vaccine. I mean, if that ass told me to snort my own grandmother's ashes, I would do it in a heartbeat. I mean, am I right, fellas, or am I right?
Okay then, Dr. Rand Paul, it's good to be with you. Could you explain what your issue is with Dr. Fauci?
Dr. Peterson, thank you for having me. And if I had to describe my issue with Dr. Fauci, is that he frequently speaks out of both sides of his mouth when communicating with the American people. Whether it's about mask policy or the vaccine rollout, he has had messages that are completely contradictory.
Hey, well, maybe that's a good place to start. Dr. Fauci, could you explain to us what the deal is with your guidance on masks?
Yeah, no, I don't mind. I'll tell you what the deal was. So, last March, COVID breaks out, and I say, don't wear masks. Masks are for Mama Luke's. Don't worry about it. So meanwhile, I buy a bunch of 3M stock when the stock market crashed. Then I go to 3M and I say, fellas, I can make your sales through the roof with your KN95 masks. I mean, they're going to sell like my mother's cannolis, but Daddy Fauci wants a little commish. So I say 1.5%, and I sell you millions of masks. And these assholes wanted to play hardball, so they said no deal. So, you know, a couple weeks go by, COVID begins to spread, and then they come back to me and they said, all right, Fauci, what do you got? So I go to ABC, I do a softball interview, tell everybody to wear a mask, and bang, their sales are through the roof immediately. So then they come back to me and they say, Fauci, that was unbelievable. I mean, I don't know how you did this for us. And I said, all right, motherfuckers, you ain't seen nothing yet. So I go back and I say, 2 masks. A few months later, bang, sales go through the roof again. Their stock price is recovered and it's doing well. And, you know, Daddy Fauci's bank account is just in the black.
Okay, so Dr. Peterson, case in point right there. Dr. Fauci just admitted that the mask guidance was not about public policy or science. It was about his own financial gain.
Yeah, you know, Dr. Fauci, that does seem rather diabolical, and studying you, psychoanalyzing, if you will, over the past year, I've never seen a human that is this greedy or manipulative, and it got me doing a little bit of digging, so I went into some ancient folklore and some mythology, and I did some more digging, and it happened upon me that I realized that there's a good chance that you are a real-life goblin. Are you a goblin?
Oh boy, here we go with the goblin conspiracy theories again. Fellas, I am not a goblin. Let's put this to rest. I have never been a goblin. I do not know any goblins personally, and to my knowledge, there is no such thing as goblins.
Well, Dr. Fauci, if you're not a goblin, then how do you explain the pointy ears and your general grotesque appearance and how you covet gold and jewels and all of the trickery and manipulation that you engage in?
How old are you, goblin?
I'm about 310, maybe 315 years old, which is not actually that old for goblin years. It actually puts me at about 55, so I'm doing all right. And truth be told, I actually have some trickery that are in my greatest hits collection that I have not made public before, so here I am breaking it on your particular podcast. So if you want to look back through the ages, the assassination of the Archduke Ferdinand, that was me. The Gulf of Tonkin, I was heavily involved in. What else? We got 9/11 I played a part in.
Dr. Peterson, so in real time, Anthony Fauci just reversed his stance on if he is a goblin or not.
Okay, Randy, I have always been forthright with the American people about my status as a goblin ever since the beginning of my career, so I'm not sure what you're saying about me switching stances. Now, you also cut me off. But obviously, anyway, COVID has clearly been my greatest feat of fuckery. So, I mean, my whole philosophy from the beginning has been to mask 'em, vax 'em, and tax 'em.
Is former President Barack Obama also a goblin?
No, Barack Obama is actually a wizard.
Well, I've always had a fascination with goblins. Could you share with us if any other public intellectuals or celebrities in general are goblins?
Well, goblins are actually exceptionally rare to make it into the public limelight in the mythical creature community. To my knowledge, the only other goblins are Tom Cruise and Warren Buffett. Now, if you'd like to know about other mythical creatures that are prominent right now, let's see, we have Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey, who are actually warlocks, not to be confused with wizards. Common misconception, warlocks are actually male witches. And a couple of obvious witches out there, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton. Now, Dianne Feinstein is actually a vampire, which throws a lot of people off, but you'll notice that you never see her out in daylight. And same goes for Nancy Pelosi. Nobody expects Nancy or Diane to be vampires, which is precisely why they are such good vampires. They were actually both turned in 1998 by Vladimir Putin at a United Nations summit. Now, Nancy Pelosi is a bit of a picky eater. She has this very uppity bourgeois diet that consists only of children's blood.
Now, Dr. Peterson, I'm sure you could agree with me that there's a tremendous conflict of interest with Anthony Fauci being a goblin as well as the rest of our leaders that are of a different species.
Goblin, is the vaccine the sort of metaphorical toll that one must pay to get back to normalcy?
Now, Dr. Peterson, I know you don't know any better, but you actually just accused me of bridge troll behavior, which is highly offensive to people in the mythical creature community.
Now, I think that this information coming to light actually makes a few things make sense. If we look at Dr. Fauci's history the past few years of approving grants for research, I mean, we spent $600,000 trying to find out if bridge trolls, or rather cave trolls, enjoy the music of Rod Stewart. We spent another $250,000 finding out if human birth control was effective in pixies. Earlier just this year, we spent $800,000 finding out if orcs are more sexually promiscuous under the influence of MDMA.
Okay, let's get something straight. I am not going to sit here and be lectured to by some curly-headed backwoods Kentucky hillbilly and some maple syrup guzzling Muppet-ass sounding motherfucker. Okay, if I must defend my grants, first of all, I am a public servant who has saved millions of lives throughout the past year and a half, and if I want to fund some research to benefit my marginalized community, then I should be free to do so. And that is why I am starting, or rather joining, an advocacy group for my people. We are going to be part of the LGBTQ+ community. That is, lesbians, gays, goblins, bisexuals, trans, queer, plus. Now, I may run into a little bit of an issue with the LGBTQ+ community. After all, it is coming to light, and more commonly known now, that back in the 1980s, I may or may not have delayed the development of some medications that would have saved many people's lives, predominantly in the G community, okay? And sometimes the Gs would spread it to the Bs, who would give it to the Ls, and the whole thing was a mess, and I feel awful about it. But over the last year, I believe I have redeemed myself in saving lives. So I believe I will be accepted with open arms.
Goblin, so perhaps you could clarify something. When it comes to your public policy advocacy, is this based on science or your goblin trickery?
Dr. Fauci is scientifically illiterate.
I am the science.
Dr. Fauci, could you explain to us how you racked up a $14,000 bill on a single night out in Washington, D.C. back in early April?
Oh yeah, that was a night for the ages. Okay, so long story short, the boys from Wuhan, my friends, we call them the Wuhan clan, they were coming to America to stake the place out, a few weeks ago. So anyway, they get in here, and I said, I'm going to show you guys pure American culture. So what do? I take them to the Nationals game, their home opener. We have some ballpark dogs, we drink some Yinglings. After the game, I said, all right, we're going to go to the best place on earth. So I take them to Dave & Buster's, where we then played some skee ball, drank some fireball, and then we got into a brawl with some Hells Angels who were not wearing their masks. Okay, so over the course of that 4 hours at Dave & Buster's, I got a little tipsy. We then made our way over to a karaoke bar where I proceeded to start macking on the women there. And I got up on the karaoke stand and I sang Bawa Ta Ba by Kid Rock, and that was the last thing I remember. The next morning, I wake up next to this gorgeous young witch named Gertrude, And I'm not gonna lie, I had a little scare. I woke up, I wasn't wearing a mask, she wasn't wearing a mask, and I thought, oh boy, this could be bad. But then I found it in the car later, so no big deal. And I asked the boys, the Wuhan boys, I said, how did I manage to tag that? And they said I got it with my famous Fauci pickup line. I walked up to her, smooth and suave, and I said, hey baby, you want to go for a ride on the Fauci's mask?
Dr. Peterson, I think we're getting a little off topic here. I'd like to get back to the matters of public policy and not this goblin's love life.
I think Randy here is a little jealous about the amount of tail that the Fauci's been bagging since the COVID pandemic kicked off.
Dr. Fauci, are goblins monogamous?
Now, Dr. Fauci, I hope you're reporting all the profits you're making from your vaccine commission to the IRS. I hope you're putting some money aside for capital gains.
You know, Randy, if you don't start minding your P's and Q's, you're going to catch these scientific hands the next time I see you on the hill.
Goblin, what does your diet consist of?
Now, can I just say that I don't believe this is fair, the way that both of you are ganging up on Dr. Fauci.
Barack Obama, how did you manage to get into this chat room?
I was just catching the live stream, and I had the folks at the NSA patch me through. Still have some good connections there.
Oh, well, thank you for the backup, Barry. You're too kind. All right, guys, this interview's getting off the rails. I'm going to get out of here, but before I do, a couple plugs. Catch me on Sunday mornings at 9:30 on WIIT-FM in New York City. That's What's in It for the Fauci Man Radio. Catch me on Instagram at Science Goblin. Follow me on Twitter at You Can't Handle the Science. Subscribe to me on YouTube at Goblin TV. Oh, and add me on Xbox Live at Goblin Gang 69. Like the fat kid in Dodgeball, Fauci out.